The metal food tray slid through the small opening at the bottom of the cell door. Su-Jin waited until the guard's heavy footsteps faded before she moved to pick it up. "Eat fast, human. Collection in 10 minutes," growled the guard in broken universal standard. Su-Jin nodded without looking up. 3 years in this place had taught her to avoid eye contact. The aliens who ran this prison took it as a challenge. The food, if you could call it that, was a gray paste with little balls of protein. It tasted like nothing, but it kept her alive. And right now, staying alive was her only job. Prisoner 137. That's what they called her here on Helios 9, the mining moon, where the Avarix Empire sent their most troublesome captives. Su-Jin had been a scientist once, a xenobiologist from Earth who studied alien life forms. Now she was the thing being studied. She ate quickly, scraping the last bits from the tray with her fingers. In her head, she counted the steps the guard would take on his rounds. 15 steps to the next cell. 20 seconds to deliver food. 15 more steps. She had mapped the entire prison this way. Her small cell had one hard bed, one toilet in the corner, and one tiny window high up on the wall. Through it, she could see the orange glow of the gas giant that Helios 9 orbited. The sight of space still gave her hope. Move back from the door, 137. The same guard had returned. Su-Jin stepped back as the slot opened again. She slid the empty tray through and returned to sitting on her bed. Most humans broke after a few months in this place. The gravity was slightly too heavy. The air was slightly too thin. The lights were slightly too bright. Everything was designed to wear you down slowly. But Su-Jin was different. The guards called her the unbreakable one when they thought she couldn't hear. Her mind stayed sharp by cataloging everything. Guard rotations, prison layout, the different species of inmates. Knowledge was her way of staying human. Today was different, though. The normal prison routine had been disrupted. Guards were running past her cell, their weapons ready. Alarm lights flashed red in the corridor. "Stand clear of all cell doors." The announcement blared in 3 different languages. Su-Jin moved to the back wall of her cell. Something big was happening. Through her door's small window, she watched as more guards rushed by, these ones wearing heavy armor. Then she heard it, a sound like metal being torn apart, followed by angry shouts and the high-pitched whine of energy weapons. Whatever they were bringing in was fighting back hard. "Secure the restraints," someone shouted. More sedatives. A massive shape passed by her cell, surrounded by at least 12 guards. Su-Jin caught only glimpses. Dark armored skin, multiple limbs, and eyes that glowed an unnatural blue. The new prisoner was thrown into the cell directly across from hers. As the guards sealed the door, Su-Jin heard one of them say, "Not even a devourer can break out of that cell." Devourer. Su-Jin had heard stories about them during her time as a xenobiologist. They were supposed to be myths, planet eaters from the dark spaces beyond known territory. Creatures so dangerous that even mentioning them made most aliens nervous. The guards left quickly, the last one activating a special force field around the new prisoner's cell. When the corridor was empty, Su-Jin moved closer to her door. Through the small window, she could see into the cell across from hers. The creature inside was enormous, barely fitting in the space. Its skin looked like metal plates that shifted and changed. It had at least 6 limbs, though they seemed to merge and separate as it moved. Most prisoners would have cowered away from such a sight. But Su-Jin was a scientist first. She stayed at her window, watching with curious eyes. The creature noticed her. Its glowing blue eyes locked onto hers. And then, to her surprise, it tilted its massive head in what looked almost like a respectful nod. That night, as the prison powered down for sleep cycle, Su-Jin heard a deep voice speak in rough universal standard. "You, not afraid. Interesting." The words came from the cell across from hers. The devourer was talking to her. Su-Jin's heart raced. For the first time in 3 years, she felt something new. Hope. Su-Jin could not sleep that night. The devourer's words kept playing in her head. You, not afraid. Interesting. No prisoner had ever spoken to her before. Most were too scared of the guard's punishment. When morning came, the usual alarm blared through the prison. Lights flickered on, harsh and white. Su-jin sat up and looked across to the other cell. The massive creature was perfectly still, its blue eyes watching the corridor. Meal distribution, a guard announced. But today there were more guards than usual. 6 of them approached the devourer's cell, hands on their weapons. "Step back, creature," ordered the lead guard. The devourer did not move. One guard turned to another. "They say it hasn't eaten in 3 days." "Good. Maybe it will die on its own," said the second guard. "I heard devourers can eat anything, even metal and stone." They slid a tray through the slot. It contained 3 times the normal amount of food. The devourer ignored it. When they reached Su-jin's cell, the guard seemed nervous. "The commander wants to speak with you, human." Su-jin was surprised. In 3 years, she had never been called to speak with anyone important. 2 guards entered her cell and placed restraints on her wrists. They led her down the long corridor to a room she had never seen before. Commander Vox sat behind a metal desk. He was an Averix, tall and thin with gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond shape. His uniform showed many medals of honor. "Prisoner 137, he said, looking at a screen. "You have been here longer than most humans survive." Su-jin stayed silent. "I want information about the new prisoner," said Commander Vox. "It seems interested in you. Has it spoken to you?" Su-jin thought carefully before answering. Information was valuable in prison. It said 1 sentence. It noticed I wasn't afraid. The commander leaned forward. "And what else?" "Nothing else," said Su-jin. This was true. Commander Vox studied her face. "The devourer refuses to eat. It refuses to speak to us. If it dies, my superiors will be very unhappy." "Why do you care if it lives or dies?" asked Su-jin. "That is not your concern," snapped the commander. "You will be moved to the cell next to it. You will talk to it. Make it eat. Learn what it knows." "And if I do this?" Su-jin asked. "Your sentence might be reduced," said Commander Vox, though his voice showed he was lying. The guards took Su-jin to a new cell beside the devourer's. This one was smaller but had a clear wall shared with the creature's cell. No privacy, but a chance to see the being up close. When the guards left, Su-jin studied her new neighbor. The creature was even more impressive up close. Its skin was like shifting armor plates that changed color slightly with each movement. It had 6 limbs now, but she had seen it with 8 before. Its face was hard to describe, not quite solid, with features that seemed to rearrange themselves. "They want me to make you eat," Su-jin said simply. The devourer turned to look at her. Its blue eyes glowed brighter. "Not hungry for that food," it said. Its voice was deep and rumbling, like stones rolling down a mountain. "You speak better than you showed them," noted Su-jin. The creature made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Smart. You are smart. What should I call you?" asked Su-jin. The devourer thought for a moment. "My name, difficult for human mouth. Call me Jin-ho." "Jin-ho," Su-jin repeated. "I'm Su-jin." "Su-jin," Jin-ho said, the name sounding strange in his rumbling voice. "Why are you here, human?" "My ship crossed into Everic space by accident. I was studying new life forms. They thought I was a spy." Jin-ho's body shifted, plates of armor sliding over each other. "Not accident. Averics lure scientists here." "What? Why would they do that?" Su-jin moved closer to the clear wall. "They fear humans," said Jin-ho. "Study what they fear." Su-jin shook her head. "Humans are weak compared to the Averics. We have no real weapons against them. No fleet big enough." Jin-ho's blue eyes seemed to smile. "Not your weapons they fear. Your minds." A guard walked by, and Jin-ho went silent. When the guard was gone, He moved closer to the clear wall. "We will talk more," he said quietly. "But first, I must know, do you want freedom, Sujin?" Sujin looked into those strange blue eyes and felt something she hadn't felt in years, a connection to another thinking being. "More than anything," she whispered. Jinho nodded. "Then we help each other. I know way out, but need human help." For the first time in 3 years, Sujin smiled. Over the next week, Sujin and Jinho spoke during the quiet hours when guard patrols were less frequent. They had to be careful. If the Avarics knew they were planning something, they would be separated. "Your universal standard is improving," Sujin said as they sat on opposite sides of the clear wall between their cells. Jinho's body shifted, plates realigning. "I learn fast. My kind adapts quickly." Sujin had many questions. "The guards call you a devourer. They seem afraid of your species." "Names have power," said Jinho. "They call us devourers because they fear us. We call ourselves the Vanu. We are scientists, explorers, philosophers." "Then why do they fear you so much?" Jinho's blue eyes dimmed slightly. "Because we can eat anything for energy. Metal, rock, even energy itself. And because we remember." "Remember what?" asked Sujin. "Everything. My kind lives very long. I have seen 2,000 years, said Jinho. "We remember which species break promises. The Avarics broke many." Sujin was amazed. 2,000 years old. She tried to imagine all Jinho had seen. "How many alien civilizations are there?" she asked. 12 major powers rule most of the galaxy. Hundreds of minor species like humans exist on the edges. Jinho explained. "Humans are new. Only 200 years in space. The Avarics have watched you for centuries." "Watched us? Why?" Jinho moved closer to the wall. "Humans adapt faster than any species we know. You solve problems in new ways. The Avarics fear this." Sujin thought about this. Humans didn't have the advanced technology of other species. They didn't have natural weapons or abilities. All they had was their creativity and determination. "Tell me about the 12 powers," she said. For the next few days, Jinho taught Sujin about the galaxy. The Avarics Empire controlled most trade routes. The collective mind was a group species that shared one consciousness. The Silent Ones lived in deep space and rarely communicated with anyone, and the Vanu, Jinho's people, were the oldest civilization still active. In return, Sujin taught Jinho about Earth's history, languages, and cultures. He seemed most interested in human art and music. "Your kind creates beauty from nothing," Jinho said. "This is rare in the galaxy." The guards began to notice their conversations. Commander Vox called Sujin for another meeting. "The creature is speaking to you," he said. "What has it told you?" Sujin had prepared for this. "It's told me about its home planet, about Vanu culture. Nothing important." Commander Vox looked doubtful. "Nothing about why it came to this sector. Nothing about the artifact." Sujin kept her face neutral, though her heart beat faster. "Artifact. It hasn't mentioned anything like that." The commander studied her for a moment. "Continue your conversations. Report anything about an artifact or weapon." Back in her cell, Sujin waited until the next quiet period. What artifact was Commander Vox talking about? She whispered to Jinho. Jinho's body tensed, plates locking together. "So they know why I am here." "Which is?" Sujin pressed. Jinho looked around carefully, then spoke very quietly. "The Avarics found something in the mines below this prison. Something very old and very dangerous. A weapon from the precursors." Precursors. The first civilization. They disappeared 50,000 years ago. Jinho's eyes glowed brighter. "My people sent me to find this weapon, to make sure the Avarics cannot use it." "You let yourself be captured." Sujin was shocked. Jinho made the rumbling sound that was his laugh. "Yes, but I did not plan to be placed in special containment. I need help to complete my mission. Su-Jin thought about everything Jin-Ho had told her about the galaxy, about the Avarics watching humans, about this ancient weapon. If I help you, she said slowly, can you help me get back to Earth? Better, said Jin-Ho. I can help humans join the galactic community as equals, not as subjects of the Avarics. Su-Jin took a deep breath. What's the plan? Jin-Ho moved as close to the clear wall as possible. First, we need to escape these cells. How good are you at pretending to be sick? For the first time since her capture, Su-Jin felt a sense of purpose. She was no longer just surviving. She was part of something important. Very good, she said with a smile. When do we start? The guards change shifts at these times, said Su-Jin, drawing with her finger on the dusty floor of her cell. Main shift change is at mid-cycle. That's when they're most distracted. Jin-Ho watched carefully from his side of the clear wall. His blue eyes focused on her simple map of the prison. How many guards at the south exit? He asked. 2 normally. 4 during high alert. Su-Jin had spent 3 years counting guards, memorizing patterns, and studying the prison layout. Now that knowledge had purpose. Jin-Ho nodded. The weapon will be in the deepest part of the mines, sub-level 5 or 6. How do you know? Precursor technology gives off energy my kind can sense, explained Jin-Ho. I feel it below us, very deep. Their planning was interrupted by an announcement that echoed through the prison. Attention all security personnel. Special transport arriving tomorrow at 800 hours. Artifact transfer protocol in effect. Su-Jin and Jin-Ho looked at each other. They're moving the weapon. Su-Jin whispered. We're out of time. Jin-Ho's body shifted, plates moving nervously. We must act tonight. No more waiting. They spent the next hours finalizing their plan. Su-Jin would fake a serious illness. When the medical team came, Jin-Ho would use the distraction to break through the wall between their cells. From there, they would head to the lower levels using the service tunnels Su-Jin had discovered during her work assignments. Can you really break through this wall? Su-Jin asked, tapping the clear barrier. It was supposed to be unbreakable. Jin-Ho placed one massive hand against the wall. My true form is different than what you see. This shape is for your comfort. Your true form. The Vanu can change our molecular structure, Jin-Ho said. It is how we consume different materials for energy. I have been saving my strength for this moment. As the sleep cycle began and the lights dimmed, Su-Jin prepared herself. She tore strips from her thin blanket and hid them under her bed. Then she began to moan loudly and thrash on the floor. Guard, she screamed. Help. Something's wrong. A guard appeared at her door. Quiet, prisoner. Su-Jin coughed violently and pulled out one of the hidden cloth strips, now soaked in the red sauce from her dinner. She pressed it to her mouth and then showed the guard the blood. Medical emergency in Block C. The guard called into his communicator. Prisoner 137 is hemorrhaging. Within minutes, the medical team arrived. As they opened Su-Jin's cell door, Jin-Ho moved to the wall between their cells. His body began to change. The metal-like plates softened and flowed like liquid. His limbs stretched and thinned, extending through the smallest cracks in the supposedly solid wall. The medical team was focused on Su-Jin, who continued her performance, coughing and shaking. They didn't notice the wall beginning to dissolve as Jin-Ho's body produced powerful acids that ate through the material. Just as the head doctor was scanning Su-Jin, a loud crack split the air. The wall between the cells gave way, and Jin-Ho surged through in a form that barely resembled his usual shape. He was like living mercury, flowing and reshaping. The medical team screamed and ran for the door. One guard managed to hit an alarm button before Jin-Ho engulfed him. The guard wasn't harmed, just immobilized as Jin-Ho's form wrapped around him. Su-Jin. Now. Jin-Ho's voice sounded strange in this flowing form. Su-Jin leaped up, grabbed the guard's access card and weapon, and ran to the cell door. She swiped the card and the door opened. Jin-Ho flowed through the opening, reforming into a more solid shape as he moved. Alarms blared throughout the prison. Red emergency lights flashed. "This way," Su-Jin said, pointing down a narrow maintenance corridor. "It leads to the lower levels." Jin-Ho followed, his body shifting back to his more humanoid form, though he kept 2 extra arms extended. "The weapon is close. I can feel its energy." They ran through the corridor as the sounds of guards gathering echoed behind them. At a junction, Su-Jin paused. "Left goes to the mines. Right leads to the landing bay," she said. "If we want to escape this moon, we should go right." Jin-Ho shook his massive head. "We cannot leave without securing the weapon. It is too dangerous." "Then we go left," Su-Jin decided. "Into the mines." As they ran deeper into the facility, Su-Jin realized she had passed the point of no return. She was no longer just a prisoner trying to survive. She was now part of something much bigger than herself. And somehow, that felt right. Su-Jin and Jin-Ho raced through the narrow maintenance tunnels. The sound of alarms grew fainter as they descended deeper into the facility. "How much further to the mines?" Jin-Ho asked, his massive form barely fitting in the human-sized passages. "2 more levels down," Su-Jin replied, breathing hard. "There should be an access shaft around this corner." They turned the corner and found themselves facing 3 armed guards. The guards looked shocked to see them, but quickly raised their weapons. "Stop or we'll shoot," one yelled. Jin-Ho moved with surprising speed for his size. His body flowed forward, extra limbs extending to knock the weapons away before the guards could fire. One guard managed to hit an emergency button on the wall before Jin-Ho wrapped a limb around his arm. "Don't kill them," Su-Jin said quickly. Jin-Ho made a rumbling sound. "Van who do not kill needlessly." He pressed specific points on each guard's neck, and they slumped to the floor unconscious. "They will sleep for 1 hour," he explained. More alarms began to sound. A voice announced over the speakers, "Attention all personnel. Prison break in progress. Dangerous prisoners heading to lower levels. Lethal force authorized." "We need to move faster," Su-Jin said, grabbing one of the fallen guards' communication devices. She clipped it to her prison uniform. "This will let us hear their plans." They found the access shaft, a long ladder leading down into darkness. Su-Jin started to climb down, but Jin-Ho stopped her. "Too slow," he said. His body shifted again, forming a protective cage around her. "Hold on to me." Before Su-Jin could respond, Jin-Ho leaped into the shaft. They fell through the darkness, but instead of crashing, Jin-Ho's body absorbed the impact when they hit the bottom. He unwrapped from around her, and Su-Jin found herself standing in a dimly lit tunnel with rough rock walls. "The mines," she said, looking around. "We made it." The guard's communication device crackled. "All units to sub-level 5. Secure the artifact. Do not let the prisoners reach it." Jin-Ho's eyes glowed brighter. "The weapon is on sub-level 5. We are on sub-level 3 now." They moved quickly through the mining tunnels. Unlike the clean prison corridors above, these were rough cut with exposed pipes and wires along the walls. Few guards patrolled here. The miners were kept in line by automated security systems. As they reached a junction, Su-Jin noticed a small office cut into the rock wall. "Wait," she said. "That might have information we need." Inside the office, they found computer terminals showing maps of the mine. While Jin-Ho watched the door, Su-Jin accessed a terminal. "I need to find the quickest route to sub-level 5, she said, typing quickly. As she searched, a file marked Earth Observation caught her eye. She clicked it open and gasped at what she saw. "Jin-Ho, look at this," she called. The screen showed hundreds of reports about Earth, dating back centuries. One report was titled Human Adaptability Threat Assessment. Su-Jin quickly read sections of it. Humans show dangerous levels of adaptability. Problem-solving approaches unpredictable. Recommend continued isolation from galactic community. possibility of controlled extinction if threat level increases. They've been watching us for centuries, Su-jin whispered, and they've been considering wiping us out. Jin-ho made a sound like grinding stones. This is why my people wanted to contact humans first. We recognize your potential. The door to the office suddenly burst open. Elite guards in heavy armor rushed in, weapons raised. Surrender now, their leader commanded. Jin-ho moved with blinding speed, placing himself between Su-jin and the guards. Energy weapons fired, hitting Jin-ho directly. His body absorbed the blasts, but Su-jin could see the impacts were hurting him. Run, Jin-ho shouted to her. Find the access shaft to sub-level 5. I will follow. Su-jin hesitated. I won't leave you. Jin-ho pushed her toward the back door of the office. Go. The weapon cannot fall into Averick's hands. More guards poured in. Jin-ho's body expanded, becoming a barrier that filled the doorway. Energy blasts tore into him, leaving smoking holes that slowly closed. Su-jin ran through the back door and down a tunnel, the sounds of battle fading behind her. She found an emergency ladder and began climbing down to sub-level 5, her mind racing. Why would Jin-ho protect her like this? Why risk his life for a human he barely knew? When she reached a small maintenance room to hide and catch her breath, she heard heavy footsteps. Jin-ho appeared, his body damaged and parts of his armor-like skin blackened from weapon fire. Why did you do that? Su-jin asked. Why protect me like that? Jin-ho's glowing eyes fixed on her. Because you are important, he said simply. More than you know. We're close, Jin-ho said as they moved through the dark tunnels of sub-level 5. His wounds were slowly healing, but he still moved with difficulty. Su-jin checked the small map she had downloaded from the office computer. The main excavation site should be just ahead. The tunnels here were different. The walls were smoother, as if melted by intense heat. Strange symbols covered some sections, glowing faintly with blue light. Precursor writing, Jin-ho explained, touching one symbol gently. Very old. It says warning and protection. They reached a large metal door with more symbols. 2 dead guards lay on the floor nearby. What happened to them? Su-jin asked, kneeling to check the bodies. Jin-ho studied the door. The weapon has defenses. They tried to enter without proper authorization. Then how do we get in? Jin-ho's eyes glowed brighter. Precursors and Vanu were allies once, long ago. Their systems recognize our energy signature. He placed his hand on a circular panel in the center of the door. The symbols lit up, changing from blue to green. With a hiss, the heavy door slid open. Inside was a vast chamber carved from the rock. In the center stood a tall pillar of crystal and metal. It pulsed with soft light that changed colors in a slow pattern. Around the pillar were Averick scientists in protective suits, working at control stations. Hide, whispered Jin-ho, pulling Su-jin behind a large piece of equipment. They watched as Commander Vox entered the chamber. He spoke to the lead scientist. Is it ready for transport? The commander asked. Almost, replied the scientist. But sir, we still don't fully understand how to control it. Our tests show it has enormous power, but it seems to have a mind of its own. I don't care, snapped Vox. The High Command wants it moved tonight. The escaped prisoners must not reach it. Jin-ho turned to Su-jin. It is as I feared. They think it's a weapon, but it's much more. What is it really? Su-jin asked. A precursor quantum computer, Jin-ho explained. One of the last. It contains the knowledge of their civilization and a warning about a great danger that returns every 50,000 years. What danger? No time to explain now. We must stop them from moving it. Jin-ho's body tensed. I will create a distraction. You must reach the pillar. Touch it with your bare hand. Why me? Jin-ho looked at her strangely. Because humans share something with the precursors, a genetic connection. The computer might respond to you. Before Su-jin could ask more questions, Jin-ho burst from their hiding place. His body expanded dramatically, extra limbs extending in all directions. The scientist screamed and ran as he knocked over equipment and blocked the exits. Security breach. Vox shouted into his communicator. All guards to the artifact chamber now. Su-jin used the chaos to run toward the crystal pillar. Vox saw her and pulled out his weapon. "Stop, human," he yelled, firing. The energy blast missed her by inches. She reached the pillar and placed her hand on its smooth surface. Nothing happened. "It's not working." She called to Jin-ho, who was fighting off guards pouring into the chamber. "Focus your thoughts." Jin-ho shouted back, his body taking multiple hits from energy weapons. "Think about protection. About saving lives." Su-jin closed her eyes and concentrated. Suddenly, the pillar grew warm under her palm. The colors swirled faster, and a beam of light shot from the top of the pillar to her forehead. Information flooded her mind. Images, symbols, knowledge too vast to comprehend all at once. She saw stars being born and dying, civilizations rising and falling, and a terrible darkness consuming entire galaxies. The pillar's light spread throughout the chamber, freezing everyone in place except Su-jin and Jin-ho. A holographic figure appeared, tall, slender, with 4 arms and a face of geometric perfection. "Activation protocol accepted," it said in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere. "Human genetic markers recognized. Warning system initialized." Commander Vox, still able to move slightly, stared in shock. "What is happening?" Jin-ho, badly wounded from the battle, dragged himself to Su-jin's side. "The computer has chosen its administrator," he said. His voice was weak, but proud. "It recognizes her authority." The holographic figure turned to Su-jin. "You now have access to precursor knowledge and defense systems. The cycle approaches. You must prepare." As Jin-ho collapsed beside her, Su-jin knelt and cradled his massive head. "Jin-ho, stay with me. We need to get out of here." With his last strength, Jin-ho touched her face with one massive hand. To everyone's shock, he spoke in the Vanu's ceremonial language, which the translator rendered as, "She was just a prisoner, until my people will call her queen." Then his eyes dimmed, and he went still in her arms. "Jin-ho!" Su-jin cried, cradling his massive head. His eyes were dim, but a faint pulse of blue light showed he still lived. Around them, the chamber remained frozen in the strange light from the precursor computer. Commander Vox and his soldiers could only watch, unable to move or speak. The holographic figure of the precursor stepped closer to Su-jin. "Your companion requires energy to heal. I can help." A beam of light extended from the crystal pillar to Jin-ho's body. His armor-like skin began to glow faintly. "He will recover," said the hologram. "But there is little time. The Avaric's reinforcements approach. You must understand who you are." Su-jin looked up at the tall, geometric figure. "Who I am? I'm just a human scientist." "You are more," the hologram said. "All humans are more. The knowledge is in your mind now. You must access it." The information the pillar had downloaded into Su-jin's brain was overwhelming, like trying to drink from a waterfall. But now, small parts began to make sense. "The precursors," she said slowly, images forming in her mind. "They created us." "Not created. Guided," the hologram corrected. "When they faced extinction, the precursors spread their genetic material across many worlds. On Earth, it merged with your ancestors." More images flooded Su-jin's mind. Ancient star maps, DNA structures, civilizations rising and falling across the galaxy. "We're their descendants," she whispered. "That's why the computer responded to me." Yes, humans think differently than other species because of this heritage. You find solutions where others see only problems. You create when others can only follow rules. The hologram waved a 4-fingered hand, and a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared. Red lights pulsed in the outer regions. The darkness comes again. It consumes all advanced life every 50,000 years. The cycle is nearly complete. What is this darkness? Sujin asked. A species that sleeps in the space between galaxies. They wake, they feed, they return to sleep. Many civilizations before yours have fallen. Sujin thought of Earth, unknowing and unprepared. How do we stop them? You cannot, yet. But this facility contains weapons, shields, and knowledge. It was built to protect, not to destroy as the Avarics believed. A loud explosion rocked the chamber. Part of the ceiling collapsed as Avarics' elite forces blasted their way in from above. Time is short, the hologram said. You must decide. Will you accept your role as administrator? Sujin looked at Jinho, whose eyes were glowing brighter as he began to heal. She thought of Earth, vulnerable and alone. And she thought of the Avarics, who would use this technology to dominate others. I accept, she said firmly. The pillar flashed with blinding light. Sujin felt knowledge flood her mind, no longer chaotic but organized and clear. She understood the controls, the systems, the purpose of everything in the chamber. She raised her hand, and the falling debris froze in midair. With a thought, she activated the facility's defensive shields. Impossible. Commander Vox finally broke free from his paralysis. How is she controlling it? Kill her. His guards tried to fire their weapons, but nothing happened. Sujin had disabled them with a thought. This facility does not belong to the Avarics, she said, her voice calm but powerful. It belongs to all sentient life in the galaxy. Jinho stirred, his eyes glowing bright again. You accessed the systems, he said weakly. You are now connected to the precursor network. Sujin nodded. I understand everything now. Why your people sent you. Why the Avarics fear humans. This isn't just a weapon or a computer, it's a beacon. She touched the control panel, and a signal pulsed outward from the facility. I've called for help. On the screens around the chamber, dozens of ships appeared, dropping out of faster-than-light travel near the planet. Their design was unlike any Avarics vessel, smooth, organic shapes that seemed to flow rather than fly. Vanu ships, Jinho said, standing up slowly. My people have come. Commander Vox backed away, his face twisted with fear. What have you done? Sujin looked at him calmly. I've changed everything. The isolation of humanity ends today. The walls of the chamber began to shake as the Avarics forces tried to break through the shields. Sujin closed her eyes, connected to the precursor systems, and activated the facility's full defenses. Energy fields spread throughout the room, pushing back the attackers. Maps and data flowed through her mind faster than she could process them. In that moment, with ancient knowledge filling her thoughts and the fate of species in her hands, Sujin realized she was no longer just a prisoner or even just a scientist. She had become something more. The Avaric ships in orbit fled as the Vanu fleet arrived. On the screens in the chamber, Sujin watched the massive vessels take position around the mining moon. They were unlike any ships she had seen before, living metal that flowed and changed shape as they moved. Your people have impressive ships, she said to Jinho, who stood beside her, fully recovered. The oldest fleet in the galaxy, Jinho said proudly. But they would not have come if you had not called. Commander Vox and his soldiers were contained in a corner of the chamber, held by energy fields Sujin controlled with her thoughts. The commander's face showed fear and anger. You've doomed us all, he said. The other powers will never allow a human to control precursor technology. Sujin smiled. I don't control it. I'm its administrator. There's a difference. A soft chime sounded from the control panel. Incoming transport, announced the precursor hologram. Vanu delegation requesting access. Granted, Sujin said. A section of the wall shimmered and dissolved. 3 Vanu entered the chamber, each different from Jinho in coloring and size, but with the same shifting armor-like skin and multiple limbs. The largest one, with silver-blue plates and 8 limbs, approached Jinho and touched foreheads with him. They communicated in their native language, a series of rumbles and clicks that no translator could fully capture. Then the silver-blue Vanu turned to Sujin and bowed deeply. "I am Elder Tadwan of the Vanu High Council. We have come as soon as we received your signal." "My signal?" Sujin was confused. "I thought I was calling for Jinho's people." Jinho made his rumbling laugh. "You sent a precursor emergency broadcast. It reached not just my people, but all 12 major powers." As if on cue, the control panel chimed again. Multiple ships entering the system. Identified. Collective Mind, Silent Ones, Stellar Republic, and others. Elder Taiwan nodded solemnly. For the first time in 10,000 years, all major species are gathering in one place. They come for you, Administrator. Within hours, representatives from all 12 galactic powers had arrived at the facility. They gathered in a large meeting chamber created by the precursor systems under Sujin's direction. Some looked like living crystal. Others were clouds of gas contained in special suits. Some resembled insects or reptiles. The diversity was beyond anything Sujin had imagined. An Avarix diplomat, sent from their homeworld, stepped forward. "This human was our prisoner. She cannot be trusted with precursor technology. She is not qualified." "She was chosen by the system itself," Jinho countered, standing tall beside Sujin. Her genetic makeup was recognized. "The choice is not yours to make." "Humans are primitive," insisted the Avarix. "They have barely left their planet. And yet," said a representative of the collective mind, "they have done in 2 centuries what took most species 1,000 years. Their adaptability is remarkable." The debate continued for hours. Some species supported Sujin. Others demanded the facility be placed under joint control. Finally, Sujin raised her hand, and the chamber fell silent. "I understand your concerns," she said simply. "But the precursor facility wasn't built as a weapon. It was built as a warning system and a shield against a threat that will soon return. We need to work together, not fight over who controls what." She waved her hand, and the holographic displays showed the darkness, vast living ships that hibernated between galaxies, waking every 50,000 years to feed on advanced civilizations. "This is our common enemy," Sujin said. "And humans, with their precursor heritage, might help find a solution no one has found before." The representatives murmured among themselves. Even the Avarix seemed thoughtful. Elder Tadwan stepped forward. "The human speaks wisdom. The Vanu support her as administrator." One by one, most of the other species agreed. Even the Avarix, seeing they were outvoted, reluctantly accepted the decision. "She was just a prisoner," the Avarix diplomat muttered to Jinho. Jinho's eyes glowed with satisfaction. "Now my people called her queen," he replied. "And soon, yours will too." 3 months later, Sujin stood on the observation deck of a Vanu vessel approaching Earth. Jinho joined her, no longer her protector but her equal and friend. Earth grew larger in the view screen, blue and green and beautiful. "What will you tell them?" Jinho asked. "The truth," Sujin said. "That we're not alone. That we have allies. That we have a purpose in the galaxy." She touched the precursor interface now embedded in her wrist. With it, she could access the knowledge of an ancient civilization and communicate with the most advanced species in the galaxy. "We were never meant to be just observers," she told Jinho. "We were designed to be the solution." Jinho placed his massive hand gently on her shoulder. "Not just a solution," he corrected. "The last, best hope." As Earth filled the view screen, Sujin smiled. She had gone from prisoner to diplomat, from scientist to leader, from human to something more, a bridge between worlds. And it had all started when a monster from the stars had seen her true worth.